For the record, we had to end the meeting and we have restarted the city council meeting now, so that everyone could log in on Zoom. So at this point, we will move to the visitor comments section. And I know there's a number of people here that would like to speak. I have had requests from Margaret Hugh and several of her people. So if anyone is here for that project, if the wind turbines, if they would like to speak, can you raise your hand and let me know who's here for that? No one? Okay. All right. So no one is here representing that. You do want to speak. Oh, okay. All right. So, shall we just start over here on the left? Go ahead, please come up to and state your name and your address. And please speak carefully into the microphone. Thank you.
Close or far?
Really close.
Close. You got to pretty much eat it, Mr. Finn.
My name's Gary Finn. I live at 206 Carroll here in Benton City. I've lived here for over 30 plus years at this address. I'm here regarding my neighbor's request to move the east end of Carroll Avenue onto my property. I know he had a proposal written up by Alan that presented to the council, I believe. And the road called Carroll Avenue from 3rd Street running east towards the river has been in existence for over 60 years. I assume people were willing to give up part of their properties for this road for the benefit of those residences having access to their properties. There's none of the previous owners of this property that are referred to as, which is my neighbor Ed's, have ever complained about their property not being right, or that the property goes on the road, or they wanted to do something to the road. The roadway is currently pretty much lined up with the paved part of Carroll Avenue to the west. And I don't think it's a good idea to move the road out of alignment with the paved road and create a weird intersection at 3rd and Carroll Avenue. And instead of being a fairly straight road, the east end of the road would have a big curve in it. I cooperated with the city and the contractor to put the new sewer and water lines through my property. I know it was a difficult job for the contractor and the city staff, not knowing where all the water and sewer pipes were, and there was some breakage and down water lines and that kind of stuff. So it's been kind of stressful for all of us. Would have been a much easier going down the roadway if the neighbor would have allowed it. I do not see the need for the city to take part of my land just to make a new road next to the existing one that has existed for over 60 plus years. Obviously, moving the roadway would not benefit me. I would lose pasture land. I'd have to redo my underground irrigation system, and I would have to redo my entire fence line along the roadway. Moving the road would not benefit me, but or the neighborhood. And having a nice straight road and a road that's already there, I think is the way to go, to just keep it as is. And I think that's what is best for the neighborhood, and that's what I want. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for all your help in this. I know it's been a stressful thing. Yes. And I don't know why we don't have our cameras on.
They are. We're up in the
They are,
corner.
oh, up there. Okay, all right. I just don't know why we had that maintenance thing up there. Okay, who would like to go next?
You got to make sure it's not about the public hearing.
I'm sorry.
I said, you better make sure it's not.
Oh,
about the public
yes,
hearing.
yes. This is not the public hearing. This is visitor comments. So is anyone here for visitor comment? Okay.
Nope. Public hearings on another matter.
And I think Mr. Allen had called in and wanted to comment publicly, but I don't see him here.
He's there.
Oh, is he online?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Mr. Allen, if you want to, you have 3 minutes. So please go ahead.
We need to mute him.
He's self-muted. All he did was ask him to.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Oh, good. It took me a while to get this thing to work. All right. Good evening to everybody.
Good
I would like to mention that I'm waiting for the days that we can get my short plot recorded, the lots recorded. We've had the up and down with trying to make it happen. And so far that hasn't happened. And so I would like to know the date, the time of when this property, my property, is going to be recorded with the county so I can proceed to sell my lots. That's my question. And I know you've been talking about it. I know we've been having meetings on it. We've been up and down with it. But I've not gotten any response. Your last city clerk said he was working on it and was going to give me an answer, but he's no longer with us. And the one before that was kind of short-lived. So it's making it really difficult for me to get anywhere with this because things change so much that I'm not able to get it done. And I need to get this done. The market is now, and it's gone down. And every day I wait and every day we delay this, the value just keeps going down, and the process of how you get things done is getting worse. And I've already lost a lot from it already. I don't want to lose any more. I want to get it done, get it recorded so I can sell my lots. I'm not here to develop them. That's not my business. I have nothing to do with the developer. The developer is in charge. Whoever buys them becomes the developer. Then they decide of what they're going to do with it. If anything, maybe they want to hold on to it for a while. That's fine, but I can't sell it to anybody because they're not recorded. And I gave you the paperwork to have that done. And you talked about it. We've been up and down with it, but nothing happens. So here I am, probably the third or the fourth time now, getting with the city and the city council and stuff. And I think your heart's in the right place. I think I see people fighting for me and trying to make it happen. And I think that's wonderful. I just like the idea of getting it done and getting it over with so I can carry on with what I need to do. So if anybody's got a response to that, I would like to hear it.
As you know, Mr. Allen, we're not allowed to respond to comments here.
That's fine.
So, but I know that certain council have requested AHBL to look at that. So I think it'll come back up on another agenda.
Well, that would be wonderful, Mayor. I appreciate that. And I look forward to that day coming. And if you do decide to do that, would you please let me know so I know that that's in process?
Yes, we will.
That'll be wonderful. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. So I guess we'll be moving on then, if there are no other visitor comments. We will then move forward. So then we'll go to the regular reports. And we have, actually AHBL has been moved over to the public hearing. And we have the treasurer's report. And that's in your packets.
Saw that.
Madam Mayor, I have a question or comment about the treasurer's report. I think it's.
Could you
we're-
speak up, please?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I have a comment about the treasurer's report. I think it's
Okay.
great that we got it for August. I think that's terrific and we're really excited that we have new staff on board. I think I would really recommend that it be looked with in conjunction with May, June, July, or that we have the opportunity to look at them sequentially. Just because the amount of change that we've had over the last several months to make sure that there's a comprehensive view of what happened
Okay,
is my comment.
all right.
And I don't disagree with her comment on that. It's great that we have an August one and I appreciate that.
Yes.
But we really need to have a full look at what's been going on and where we're at. And especially since we're coming into a budgeting cycle.
Yes. I think we've all made it a priority to get all those reports together. Okay. Are there any council committee reports?
No, Madam Mayor, I do not. I will be attending meetings this week and next week and the following week for some committees, but at this point.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have the floor.
Yes.
I attended the Benton County Mosquito Control District meeting last Monday. Obviously, it's starting to cool down a little bit, so the mosquitoes are not nearly as bad. They're focusing in on next year. We've made the motion to purchase a couple new vehicles along with a van that will allow their drone to fit in there. So next year they'll be able to get out to some other areas. So updating some older equipment and getting some new vehicles for the workers.
That's good. Do you know if they ran the star grazer this year up the river?
I don't know if they did. I think they took it out and they might have had some issues. I don't know. Bill might know a little bit more if you've seen them out on the river or not.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't remember them bringing that up, but I can
Yeah.
definitely ask.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
I'd like to give a quick report from Benton County Emergency Management. Benton County Emergency Management has opted to hire an executive director that oversees CCOM, the dispatch center. And for the folks that don't know, our dispatch center is more than just 911 calls. They deal with a lot of the city public, all the city public works between Benton, Franklin, and part of Walla Walla County. And it was up until recently ran by the city of Richland. With the scope of their jobs expanding, and I'm sure everybody's heard of the lack of dispatchers, lack of personnel working in the offices pretty much across the United States. Benton County Emergency Management decided they wanted to hire an executive director to, in time, make it a standalone agency. The benefit to that is the hiring power that agency has. The point I'm trying to get with that is currently we're anywhere between 14 and 17 dispatchers short
Oh, wow.
for 2.5 counties. What this will do is allow them to hire without going through any one city's process, being a standalone agency, and in hopes that they can fill those vacancies. We're actually pretty optimistic about it. So hopefully within the next year and a half, we're going to see a full staff of dispatchers. So that's good news coming out of there. So if somebody's water line breaks in front of their house, they call that non-emergency number. That dispatcher, that fire, EMS, and police dispatcher is the one that also contacts City Public Works. So they do play an integral part of our jobs here. The second comment I would like to make is text to 911 is now working, and it's working successfully in Benton, Franklin, and part of Walla Walla County. The whole concept of the text to 911 was for the hearing impaired. So now the hearing impaired can call 911 via text, or if, we hope this never happens, somebody gets into a point where they have to remain silent and can't talk to somebody on the phone, they can hide their phone and text 911. And from there, they could triangulate the signal and figure out where that person's at. Emergency responders go.
Great.
So text to 911 is active. It's working well. They've had multiple calls with it, and it's successful.
That's great. Yeah, I think that could be, like you said, a lifesaver in some circumstances, especially in issues with domestic violence, I think.
Very
Yeah.
much so.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Ms. Funk, nothing? Okay. All right. So now we will end the regular council meeting. Council meeting is adjourned. And we will move now into the public hearing. Is Emily or someone going to talk about this? Nicole, okay. Okay, Nicole,
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
yes.
Okay. And I apologize, I am under the weather, so I'm joining you remotely. I didn't want to come down to City Council and share or spread what I have. What you have before you tonight is a staff report regarding our suggestion that the council tonight set the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Amendment docket. Probably becoming more of a routine matter now that you've done this a few times. But just as a reminder, you did open the 2022 Comprehensive Plan Amendment cycle earlier this year. The date was changed just a little bit to make sure that we didn't overlap. We could have overlapped with the other review period, but we thought it would just be a good measure not to. So we did fix the deadline for applications to be Friday, July 29th of 2022. Went through all the procedural requirements. And some applications came in. We've summarized that in our staff report. There are several land use amendments. And then in addition to that, there are some text amendments that are proposed. Council tonight is asked to establish the docket by accepting all the applications plus the associated area-wide rezone, which is proposed, and refer this matter over to the Planning Commission for their study, review, and processing. As a reminder, setting the docket is in no way approving any of these items. Rather, it is just referring it over to the Planning Commission and stating that council sees fit to study these issues as potential changes to the comprehensive plan amendment. We have a recommended motion prepared for you if you wish to take action. And I'm available for any questions on the particulars of the docket. We did provide some, I think, useful maps, and then also the materials are available for review related to the applications that came in. Thank you.
Nicole, would you just remind the council of the applications that have come in that they're acting on tonight?
Sure. So one application came in from the Olson family, and it is for some parcels of land that total 28.77 acres. They are requesting that the existing classification be changed from commercial with and that's the land use classification. It's also zoned commercial, and they're proposing to change that to a residential land use classification with R3 zoning. It's labeled on the map for you all. And then in addition to that, we also received applications in from Olson Family LLC to add in some parcel of land into the urban growth area and also remove some parcels of land from the urban growth area. So sort of a swap out, bringing some portions from the county in and then taking others out so that they would no longer be a part of the urban growth area. In addition to that, there's also several staff recommendations, and we've outlined that some of the staff recommendations came from consultation with the city engineer or from information we received directly from Benton County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we are here tonight for a public hearing, and does anyone wish to speak on this topic? Not hearing anyone? Is there anyone online that would?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, this is Troy Phillips. I am the CFO of Olson Brothers Ranches Incorporated. This is the operating entity for both Olson Family LLC and Olson Brothers LLC, the landowners that have submitted the application requesting the floor to speak.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Well, first, and I'm trying to get my video here working. Let me know if you guys can see me okay, or if it's running or not. But
I don't see you yet.
can you? I'm assuming you guys can hear me.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. What about now?
there you are.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, so just wanted to make a couple quick comments about the intent behind these applications. So you all may be familiar with what we refer to as our red apple cherry block, and this is the cherry orchard that surrounds the red apple market directly across the street from the high school. And then it also has frontage along the highway to the east. At this point in time, that orchard is aging and has reached a point of productivity that we no longer see as a viable operation in its current state. And so our options as an organization are to either remove all that cherry orchard and replant into a new commercial cherry orchard with the intent of farming that for probably an additional 20 years for that to really pencil out for us. The alternative and what we're proposing and requesting of the city is that this get presented forward on the docket for evaluation for having that block rezoned into high density residential. Just given its proximity to the market, the school district, community parks, all those types of features, we really feel like, this is a piece of ground that's really well suited for development long term. And also taking a look at some of the way those blocks and parcels are currently oriented, I think it might make a lot of sense for, the developer down the road to look at some mixed use and maybe, depending on whatever comes of I guess AHBL's efforts in kind of rewriting the city development code and standards, maybe taking a look at having some of that zoned for multifamily and just kind of having a little bit of mixed variation in the housing type of structures there. And again, really, for us, we see the value of having that location where folks, don't necessarily need a car to take their kids to school. They can walk across the street to the school or close access to the grocery store and parks and things of that nature. And then obviously from our standpoint, our intent is to not farm commercial crops in the middle of a municipality. And so, I think while historically that it's been a really great site for farming and agriculture, I think, looking ahead for the next 50 years or even more short term than that, I think, that it's our position that we're a little bit apprehensive in doing that. And also, we've seen, we've run into issues just as an organization with folks trespassing onto that property, high school students kind of going out into that property and jumping the fence during breaks or after school. And it's kind of an attractive nuisance in a sense. So we really felt like, this is not something we want to be doing long-term, farming that again in that location. So that's our request and our intent behind that block. The more complicated one is the UGA swap, if you will, that Nicole alluded to. And our intent there is to take the parcel of land that's directly west of that red apple block that we're just talking about, so kind of further away from the city. That's currently zoned urban growth area, and we have planted new trellising and cherry orchard on that block as of 3 years ago. And so, we kind of feel like, well, with that block a little bit further away from the high school and kind of removed from the development trajectory and the path of what we see for the city, that's a better long-term option for the next 10 to 20 years for the farming application use on that site. And so, seeing as it's currently zoned and designated urban growth area, we also own approximately 20 acres directly south of the high school that is currently not in the urban growth area. And it's kind of almost forming, it's in a sense almost a donut hole within the city. And our thought was, well, wouldn't it be better if we then transitioned that property south of the high school, converted that at some point down the road into a different zoning, maybe whether that's, commercial or if that's residential, who's to say? That's further on down the line, but at least the idea would be get that on the roadmap ahead for transitioning into the urban growth area of the city and kind of be able to provide some infill there in that central part of Benton City. And so the thought was, well, in addition to that, there's also a parcel off of OIE that's currently adjacent and surrounded by residential houses. And so the thought was, well, why don't we just take out the portion of land that's currently in the UGA that we intend to farm for another 2 decades, and then swap that with the currently unincorporated zone directly south of the high school and infill within the city as opposed to doing the urban sprawl thing. So I think, it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone, one being it helps us out in, not having to operate tractors right next to a high school. Just kind of the general concern about, any fertigation or applications that we do in terms of treating those cherries, kind of removes that concern and then simultaneously allows the city to be more aligned with the Growth Management Act and kind of perform some infill activity in the I guess, potential donut hole areas. So anyway, just wanted to provide some context there and obviously offer my attention and time for any questions that council may have. Thank you for the time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I guess we will end the public hearing and then we can have discussions. I believe that's the correct format. Is that correct, Craig? Okay. All right. So last chance that anyone wants to speak on the public hearing. Okay. Public hearing is now closed. Is there any council discussion?
The comment Madam Mayor may have before. On Nicole, on page 6 of the staff report, and maybe this came in color, but it's only in black and white. I understand for the business that we need to do today. It's page 37 of the packet, page 5 of 6-year report. This is not a showstopper at all for us to move forward, but it'd be really helpful to have the maps in color because you kind of have add, remove, UGAs. You just can't quite break it all out. That would just be a suggestion I'd have as you continue to move this through the process.
Thank you. Yes, we did intend for you to receive those items in color.
Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate you.
Okay, are there any other things to discuss here? Okay, there are 2 ways that you can do this. You can approve it or you can modify it. And both of those suggested motions are on page 6 of the packet.
Madam Mayor, I move to accept the suggested 2022 comprehensive plan amendment docket containing 8 items as detailed in the staff report. I further move to direct staff to continue processing the 2022 docket as well as the associated area-wide rezone and refer them to the Planning Commission for their consideration and recommendation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Funk, aye.
Sandra abstain.
Okay, motion carries. All right, thank you. So now we can go forward to items for discussion. And I know that there's not a lot of information here, but we have a sheet for discussion. Basically, the salary for a city planner, I believe the job description had gone out to AHBL, and Nicole, did you return that to Margaret?
No, ma'am, I explained that we are no longer available for on-call services, and we did not have a task order to provide this type of feedback.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, so we have a draft draft job description, which we can supply to council. I think the salary range that was discussed by Patrick, to the best of my knowledge, was around 110. Was that what, did he discuss any of that with you? No. I'm thinking that was about the range and the salary. But we can look more into that. But I think the main reason we're here now with this discussion item is, I think we'd like to move forward with it as fast as we can, because we now are in the situation where we do not have planners to help us with things on a day-to-day basis.
I don't have a problem with that. However, we definitely need to have a more thorough salary discussion. I would also like to see the draft. And if we need to get a task order to have Nicole review it, or if we need to send it to another agency and talk to them about what they see about it, whatever the case is, we need to get some feedback from some folks or some municipalities that have this in place. And I would suggest we do that sooner than later so that we can all make a very educated decision.
Right.
Nicole, if we were to approve or request AHBL to work on this for us based on your knowledge of the Benton City, is that something, if you had a task order, you would be able to support us on just as we work through our transition?
Due to our obligation to a number of clients, now I'm not able to take any more task orders from Benton City. That was part of what happened when the contract expired. We're done accepting new work. We don't have the capacity. Unfortunately, I would recommend that you contact the Benton Franklin Council of Governments, local jurisdictions, perhaps the American Planning Association Washington chapter, or the Planning Association of Washington. All of those could be good resources. And as in addition to WCIA, I don't think there's a lack of resources.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we will do some research and get back to you next time.
And the sooner you can get those documents to us so we can have some time to review them, that would be great.
The documents, we can email those to you. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Rainey is up next, and that is to review the capital improvement budget for the sewer line option.
Right, and
on
this
that
came
sewer
up as
lane.
part of the Hope Lane discussion. And I guess we're gonna discuss that a little bit later, so just real briefly. The only real item in here that I feel confident that we have cash there or funds there is the line item for Dale Avenue sewer upgrade. That was put in there last fall, I believe, or even before that, when we first did the budget. I guess that'd be the 2021-2022 budget.
And that's our Dinah Lane, Dale.
Yes, yep. And so that was the money that the city was talking about putting into that before we got the ARPA money. And so that Dale Avenue sewer relocation is being covered by the ARPA funds.
Right. And
So-
unfortunately for me, that's a project that I feel very strongly about, that we shouldn't be touching that. We need to move forward with that.
Yes, we're actually in the design for it, the Dinah Dale water line, street relocation and sewer relocation. And we are waiting for the county to provide the agreement for the ARPA 09 exchange, and talking with Adam File, he should have it to us later this week. So it should come up in the next council meeting.
Okay.
But we are moving forward with that design. We're still working on the boundary line adjustment with the property owner and the irrigation district. And we're just about done with that. And so our design will follow right after that's completed, because we're doing some realigning, some adjustments. The irrigation district is going to give us a little more easement, so we don't have as sharp of a turn. Kind of hard to explain without the map, but it'll be a more gradual turn as you go in off of 7th towards the wastewater treatment plant and the shop.
Okay.
So it's gonna make a better product, and so we're working together with irrigation district and landowner to make that happen.
And right now, all of that's covered under the ARPA funds.
Yes,
And
correct.
this was just budgeted through the city.
That was the original budget for
Okay.
to help cover that cost.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know that this is a spot to bring it up, but I did see a thing from Solid Waste talking about our transfer station and some of the others. And I think we need to have maintenance, or you probably should direct maintenance to look at a fence to put around that building and their oil reserve down there.
I thought we had done that. Did we not do that? I thought there was a fence around it.
No, there's no fence to my knowledge down there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and the reason that came up is people are sneaking through the fences or
Fence
whatever
through
and
there,
dumping
yeah.
oil and just leaving it next to it on the ground and so forth, so on, so.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all I had on the sewer budget.
And then basically what you're saying is there's not enough money there to do that project, it's
To
do the Hope Line,
Oak Lane.
yeah.
Correct. And I guess we have a action item for you guys to look at that in detail.
Okay.
Okay. All right, the next item for discussion is Kendall Road completion. Again, Mr. Rainey.
Yep. So early on, we started discussing Kendall Road, and one of the landowners was looking at completing curb and gutter sidewalk in front of his house, which precipitated discussion with REA, because some of their utilities and their pole and guy wire are in the way of a sidewalk extension in front of his property. And so we engaged with Benton REA. And through this, they're now working up a project to put everything underground from the new park towards the east, towards 14th. And the pole on 14th would stay in place, is kind of what they're saying at this point.
They couldn't be nice and just go across 14.
Yeah, they were explaining to me that pole is the start of a line going south. So they to put that underground across the street, they'd have to also start working south, going underground. So kind of just mushrooms on them. But we're waiting for a proposal from them to show us what they're planning to do. And then my recommendation for completing Kendall Road, so there's 5 houses. There's a corner house that faces 14th and 4 houses that face Kendall. Would be, one is to get a design done. So even if this first homeowner next to the park completes it, he's going to complete it in a way that will it'll make a good transition through the whole rest of the project. Because we don't want to go piecemeal, do one spot and then it doesn't quite work out in 2 or 3 lots down the road. And And then from there, possibly look for funding to complete the rest of the road.
I think that's worthy of our endeavors. Madam Mayor, and address,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I
certainly.
spoke out of turn. So for one, as I said before, there's a safety concern I have with how that street is completed. People coming down or going up that street, they're making a sharp corner there, it's tight. I know the homeowners aesthetically, they're all up in arms about the poles in their yards, right? So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different pieces to that. I think we still have a issue down there. I haven't heard anything on it, but I don't know if we've addressed speed in that area. But I think that's something else we need to address right near the park. If we ever get a fence up, and that's speed bumps of some sort, to slow people down on those roads. So I think it's a worthy endeavor, and I think it needs to get completed.
And I will speak with Jose. I thought at one point they were gonna put the traffic counters out there. That's what I'm remembering.
Well-
And I don't know if that happened.
That would be good so that we can see what kind of issues we have there.
Mhm.
I really like the idea of getting data before we throw money at something, so.
Right.
But in that same token, it is gonna be a park. So I think we need to adjust for crosswalks to and from the park on either side, as well as we might consider some signage at least that says there's a park. And as long as we're on that subject, have you given any thought to those naming of those parks yet and how we're gonna do?
I have not myself. I don't know, maybe we should see if the chamber would be willing to put out some sort of a survey to help us with that. Asking for recommendations.
A survey or, in my opinion, I think we should go to the schools. Ask an appropriate age demographic to suggest names for those parks, and then whoever the winner is, we can have them at the ribbon cutting, etc. I think that would be a good piece for,
For the children to do it.
yeah.
I think we ought to get both adults, because I think if we're naming them after citizens that have done a lot of good deeds in their lifetime, this young ones may not know who those people are.
Well, the only park that we made that suggestion, or Mr. Moakler did, was the city park, changing the name on that. But the other two are essentially community parks, and I think those are something that we could put out to the school, historical, local Benton County historical name, and see what they can come up with. And
Okay.
again, the appropriate age demographic, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there.
Okay. We will take that action.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
So for the suggestion of the name for the city park, if we just want to adopt the name that was suggested, what's the process?
I think we kind of agreed to do that at the last time. I don't know of what process that would take.
I'm not
You
sure
have
if I'm
any-
looking back to you. I don't know if there's any, like, RCW would even mention
Naming.
in that specific
Yeah.
respect to the naming of parks.
Yeah, I think that may be just a,
The general rules that, we have authority under 35A12 to acquire, dispose of, control our property. So obviously one of those aspects of control would be, selection of a name. So I think there's probably pretty broad latitude in how we decide to do that.
Could we add this then as a future item to advance, and hopefully there's just a ribbon cutting
Sure.
name,
Okay.
ribbon cutting ceremony that the city and the chamber put on with advance notice, so we could be made aware and participate, and it could be publicized to the community.
Sure.
I think for that particular endeavor, spring would probably be the best time so that we can
Excellent.
get everybody out there.
It's a great opportunity for advertising if it's not till the spring. It's a perfect
Yeah.
suggestion.
Exactly.
And probably there's some signage that goes along with that, that needs to be designed and budgeted and paid
Right,
for and
right.
procured.
Yeah,
So
sure.
perhaps there's an action to direct staff to work on that as well.
Okay.
If you want to let him speak, you may.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you come up
Come up
to
to
the
the mic.
microphone?
Couple
And-
suggestions would,
Could you please state your name and
I'm Kyle
your,
Camille,
and your address?
200 Carroll Ave.
Okay,
Like maybe Ben Hill, he was very known at the high school. He touched a lot of people there, or maybe Mr. Mars. He was killed at the
Oh.
middle school when I was in school. I want to say 2007, 2008. I can't remember exactly. I was little. But just some suggestions, because those were some big names from back then. I know that there's not a whole lot around about them now. Ben Hill being the most frequent or most current, yes.
Recent, yeah.
Just
okay.
some suggestions.
Thank you for your suggestion. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. So. The,
IT contract. which that-
IT.
I have not seen. Does anybody else?
Yes, I think that's why we put it as a discussion item.
Okay.
What happened there is
Under both, yeah.
Patrick had gotten 3 job estimates. And I saw his spreadsheet. And 2 of them were like 35 to 49,000.
Mhm.
And the last one was 29,000. And that is, can you tell me Dustin's last name? Do you know what it is? He's a local boy who does the IT work. And we have had him in last week because we were desperate. So we went ahead and asked him to come in to work with us for a couple of hours to get some of our computers up and running. His estimate was around, I want to say 26 to 29. We cannot find any of the paperwork. I know I saw that spreadsheet, but we cannot find it on his computer. So we can ask Dustin to recreate it. And
Well,
we can just go out again for another bid, but we really desperately need people that can come on call and he has been good. He's Benton City boy here, so.
so Madam Mayor, can I address you as well as the council?
Sure.
So my big concern, and it may be a moot concern, but some of the things that we need to prep for, and we need to be looking at is backups of systems, some sort of cloud piece, network inside the building, all the future implementation of any kind of connections to our other facilities. And with that transitions into the piece that I would expect that 40,000 would be a low end bid to get us compliant where we need to be for the security of the information we have. And without going into detail of the things that I know, I think, and I suggested this before, and I don't know if it ever got done, but we should look at some of the vendors on the state list.
Okay.
Because they are more knowledgeable on municipality security than, and no offense to our local folks, than the local folks. There's a whole bunch of, and I don't pretend to be a computer genius. As a matter of fact, I consider myself about 3 rungs above the bottom. And in dealing with people who do this for a living, cybersecurity is a huge endeavor. I really think before we go jumping into a contract, we need to know what everybody's going to provide us, as well as to what level they're going to provide us.
Okay, I know he had worked that out because I saw what we were getting at one point, and that included computers, upgrading our computers and working with Battelle, which we have on that cyber watch. But Patrick delayed us implementing it until this other was in place. So I'd like to get it in place until we get this set up at least, and then have them work together with Battelle, since we're not paying anything for that.
Well, based on what I know about Battelle, they're just doing monitoring for us and checking our system.
Right,
Well, what I'm talking about is hardware. I mean,
yes,
so in a facility of this size, I would suggest, we need things like a Cisco router, Cisco 48 port switch. And you're looking at 5,000 to 10,000 in just those 2 items. So when somebody gives us a bid of $45,000 or whatever, I have to ask, what kind of equipment are they looking at?
right,
If we're looking at replacing computers, pretty much right now today, you can go out and buy a computer for $300, but it's not a computer and it's not going to function well for us.
right.
The PCs that we're going to need to supply our staff to function appropriately are going to be in the $1,000 range.
Yeah, we just bought 2 for 1,500 on the at Best Buy.
And then we're going to need cloud storage backup.
Right.
It just keeps tallying up.
We do have that on the BIOS software now. Springbrook, we do have
But that's
cloud
only one
storage.
portion.
Yeah,
So
I understand.
I want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're covered on this game.
So we'll go back to square one then, and if we can uncover that file, then maybe we'll have something to look at immediately. Otherwise, we'll have to go out again and get bids. JB, yes.
John Brown, Deputy City Clerk. One thing Justin was planning to do is that we have a new phone system coming in, which we pay $518 a month right now, and that's going to drop to $382 a month. And they're each one have their own lines, but where the phones are now, we have to have a new port run through the wall so they can hook to. That needs to be done before they will send us the phones and send their techs in to hook everything up.
I get it. I understand that there's a time crunch, and this is one of those things that, in my humble opinion, that we're behind the curve on. But if you want to contract to him to just run some network cabling, that's fine. But is he going to put in the appropriate network cabling? So again, I don't pretend to be the all-knowing guy, but anybody who comes into my facility, if they tell me they want Cat 5e or Cat 6, I tell them to get out. I tell them you put in Cat 6a. But the problem is everybody thinks X is adequate. It isn't anymore. And that's where I'm coming back to, what are they willing to provide us? I want to see that list of items.
Sure. Yeah, I say that's a good idea for him to write that up, and so we can show the council. But my thing is that if we get it done and we get the new phone system in, our payments are going to be lower each month. Plus, we're paying on like 13 lines at or 19.99 a month that we don't use no more.
I
And those are
understand.
supposed to be deleted too. That's all.
I understand the concept. I get it.
Okay, well, we will work on that.
I
Okay,
think for the bigger project too, when you're coming back, there's probably gonna be some of it that's phased. I mean, everything, no one here is saying, or we haven't heard, and this isn't budgeted. We all
Yeah.
understand this is a critical
Right.
item that is not budgeted.
all right.
And so probably, given the fact that we're in October, there's only so much that can even happen this year.
Yeah.
So having the details that, having the details to put the right plan in place and how you would suggest it be sequenced is probably really important. And I think along with the great suggestion of contacting the vendors, the state list, the county may also be willing to give us some tips on on who they use locally.
All right.
The county actually has their own staff. Now,
Do they? But
Yeah.
They still have some systems that they use for stuff.
some, but
Okay.
for the most part, their staff runs almost all their infrastructure. That's another suggestion that comes about is the city of Kennewick, I know at one time contracted with the city of Prosser. I don't know if they're still doing that. But that's another option. There is actually a state fiber system as well for conversing with the municipalities. So.
Okay. All right. So then the next item is we had a request from Basin Disposal to have a council committee review their contract because it's complicated. So she would like to see council take a look at it and Craig take a look at it and make sure it's understood before she comes in and presents it to the rest of the council.
Well, I can speak for myself and I can tell you that the month of October is super busy for me. Not only with my council commitments, but my other commitments in life. I can review the document, but I don't know that I can make myself available for any meetings. So if other council members would be more inclined to participate in that, that would be great.
Okay,
My only caution there would be that if we're 3 or more council members, we need to notice it as a
yeah, then it
public meeting.
has to be
So
just
it
two,
makes, it
right?
makes sense from an efficiency standpoint to simply add that piece as a discussion item or an action item.
Okay, rather than a separate
I mean,
council committee.
short of that, it would be, the executive side in conjunction with our office, discussing that with BDI and, relaying that information to council so they're aware at the next meeting. Either one would be fine, but just want to make sure that we're not violating our open meeting act.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes,
As a point of clarification, so Basin Disposal came to speak with us twice now,
yes,
actually,
two different
to do
items.
something very small.
Yeah,
Is this related to that, or this is a bigger project?
this is the big contract. The other was surcharge for the inflation and adding that onto the fuel.
Is there an expiration date on it? It's great that they'd really like to have the contract reviewed from a prioritization standpoint. With the existing commitments and setting up a committee. When does the current contract terminate?
Yeah, I
It
don't know
doesn't,
that
because
date.
is this urgent or is this a nice to
I
have?
think it's pretty soon, but I don't know exactly when it is.
Madam Mayor, may I address Ms. Funk?
Yes,
So, when she was here the first time, she said that they'd been going through the process of renewing contracts and that we were the only, or maybe one other, facility that had not gotten to the renewal point. And once they came to the renewal point, they wanted to standardize their contract system. Because they're gonna start trying to push, the whole recycling piece related to the environmental issues. So when we go to review this contract, I mean, we're gonna have to be pretty diligent in making sure where it's at. So, Madam Mayor, to address you and Mr. Briggs, I think the prudent thing here is first to have you to review the contract, bring it to us at the next council meeting with a discussion item as well as a approval item. Let us take a look at it. Let us discuss it. If not at the next council meeting, the next one after, but I caution that I would like to have the council have at least a week to review that. Because I'm gonna sound like the bad guy, so I'll sound like the bad guy. It's all great to be environmental and healthy and all that. I don't know that our citizens will really take to that, especially if there's additional costs. So I think we need to really weigh the whole contract as it says.
Madam Mayor, if I could have the floor, it'd be great again to also understand the date our current contract expires. And to have it in a red line format for the changes and know which other cities, you're right, I remember, thank you for the reminder of the conversation, have actually adopted the new standard of the contract. Are we now leading edge or, in the 3 months since we saw her last? Just, where do we stand? So
Right.
that information together would be really helpful to expedite council's review, I think.
All right.
I concur on that.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. So our next item is the confirmation. We're moving into item K now.
No,
Wait,
no,
wait,
we,
sorry, I see, I did not talk about the 414 9th Street, Alan.
correct. And I just wanted to give you guys an update where we're at. The project started this week with Dig and Verify. And right where we were planning to put the sewer line, we found an unmarked 4-inch steel line that runs east-west, right along with where our sewer line is planned. We have been trying to figure out what it's connected to. The contractors spent an appreciable amount of time. So far, an additional 5 hours. We went along pothole. They're using the jet vac. So they just go down and basically vacuum up the dirt and try to locate it. We located it all the way across from 9th to 7th. And at the start of the project, or the west side of the project coming off of 9th, it's right in line for probably about 100 feet, and then it veers off. And it still parallels us. But then again, we cross it in Levi Kern's property. We're not sure if it's an active water line. Dan Deckard happened to be on site that day, and he ended up calling is it
Ashley.
And he said he recalled there being a water line that was live across there. We haven't been able to substantiate if it's live or not. So this week, we're going to cut out where they're going to be connecting the T for the hydrant, and to see if that 4-inch line is actually connected to the main line running down 9th. So just kind of give you guys that of what's going on.
So what does that mean for our project?
Well, at this point, we're on the standstill because we got to figure out if that line is connected to the main line. If it is, we will try to figure out a way to discontinue that line. We verified that the services off of 7th Street, there's some homes that sit back off of 7th there, kind of in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Their services appear to go out to 7th Street. They're not connected to that line. So hopefully, best case scenario, it's a dead line, but we don't. Typical practice is you drill a hole in it to see if it's live, and then they can put a band around it to patch it. But the condition of the steel line is such that we don't want to touch it. Because it's so uneven, it's rusted, because if you try to drill it, you're not gonna get that
A
band.
smooth band, yeah.
Yeah, so we're just, we'd probably create, if it's live, we'd create a lot more problems. So at this point, there's gonna be some more dig and verify, some additional cost with that. And once we find out more information, then we can go from there. So I just kind of want to give you guys a heads up of what's going on.
Seems like no matter what we dig, there's something there that we
Yes.
didn't know about.
And,
Yeah.
Change order, Alan speak. or no, That's what we need to. All right,
Yep.
well, keep us surprised on that.
Yep. Will do. And Craig, is it permissible for me to send out an email to everyone when we find out information?
Yeah.
If I,
Yeah, that's fine, as long as we don't have like a serial discussion on. things.
right, like, okay,
The best option, I don't know how functional you are with the email, but just put us all in the blind copy.
right, yeah.
Yeah. And that way we can't talk to each other.
All right, will do.
Okay. Thank you. All right, now we will move on to items for approval. We would like to approve Carla Meyer as city clerk treasurer at the same pay grade as the ordinance currently in place, 1040.
There's no discussion. I move to approve.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, I.
Great eye.
Okay, thank you. Carla, welcome. For the second time in a week. All right. So then the next is the estimate on the proposed sewer paving on Hope Lane.
Guess I'm back up.
Yep.
Let's see, so I have the cost estimates for the three options of dealing with Hope Lane, because the first option is a full improvement. It was talked about putting in curb and gutter, widening the street, and replacing the sewer. And that cost is approximately $417,000 to do that. The next option would be just to redo the sewer and do the pavement. And so that drops us down to $274,000. And the last option is just to patch the area where we had to put the sewer or the water line out into the roadway. And we just leave the sewer for a future developer to replace, because we're not paving it this time, so we don't have to get it done. And that was the only driving force for doing the sewer, is if we're gonna repave it this time. Because we wanted to upsize that line to handle future flows. And looking at the budgets and everything, I guess, my recommendation would be just to patch it at this point. And wait and see if the developer does put something in, and then have that as a requirement for them to upsize the sewer at that time. Especially with the budget that we're trying to work on and figure out, so.
You are our budget.
Yeah. Our largest item.
I have to be prudent in this gig, and I think we're just gonna have to go with option 3 at this time until we can get our finances in order and understand where we're sitting. I would love to at least get curb and gutter down there, but I think I'm gonna have to motion to approve for option 3. Which is what we've already approved.
So do you need a motion on that then?
I don't know if
There's no change.
I don't know if that option was actually approved. I know we
I don't think
decided to
so.
move the,
Okay, well, I motion to approve it.
okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify. by
Sandra, do I?
saying
Wadsworth, I.
Reed, aye.
Motion-
Okay.
Motion carries.
Oh, and if I could make a side note, I think it would be good to maybe talk to the landowners on Oak Lane, because one person came out while I was picking up as-built information, and they made a comment that said basically they didn't want to give up any more yardage, their front yard, so.
And I can imagine that would have been a comment down there because they don't have much yard.
Right.
Um,
But just food for thought, and actually to build the road, the curb and gutter, the top of the curb would have to be pretty much level with the yards. So to get down for the curb and gutter, you're gonna be taking out about 18 inches of material. So anyway. Just letting you know.
Okay,
All right,
thank
thank
you. Okay, Jose, are you there to go over the purchase of the trench box?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, did you want to go through this, please?
Madam Mayor, may I
Yes.
address Jose before he starts?
I'm sorry.
May I address him before he starts?
Yes, you may.
Just really quickly, what is the pick on these? Which one is the one you're choosing
The first one,
for 7,200?
correct.
Just to address the council right now, no matter what he's gonna say, I'm gonna approve or motion to approve this. This is a long due item that is for the safety of our workers. And at that, I'll let you have the floor, Jose.
So yeah, my pick would be the first one you guys have for the $7,200. The bid for the second bid and the third bid, there is a freight cost that brings, freight cost is $1,900 on the second bid and on the third bid. And that brings up the price quite a bit for the second bid to $9,100. And then also for the third bid, also freight cost of $1,900, but the total cost is only $7,000 and some change. But the lead time for bid 2 and 3 is 3 to 4 weeks out. The lead time for bid number 1 is it's in Portland, so we probably get it in like 3 to 4 days. So that was my reasoning behind choosing bid number 1.
What's a trench box?
So a trench box is used in shoring and trenching. And to avoid the legalities of putting the city in jeopardy, it's when a construction worker digs a hole in the ground below 4 feet, they're required to shore that particular endeavor. And in some of our endeavors, we've gone down as deep as 15 feet. So we really need to have this available to our workers when they're doing water line repairs. This is a significant piece in protecting them from what's called cave-in. It's basically a couple panels with 4 spreaders that hold the dirt back so they can work on the water line without fear of any kind of collapse.
And when holes cave, I've seen some of them up here. If there's a significant amount of water, they just pop like this and they're caved in before you even know what hits you. So it's significant safety equipment.
Thank you. Is this adjustable spreader big enough? It says it's only 4.5 feet.
So it's 2x6 panel. Which 2 foot by 6 foot. So it's probably 6 foot long, 2 foot tall. I don't know that it's going to deal with everything we have. The next one is an 8x6. That would allow us to stand it as far deep as 8 feet. The other one that's 2x6 gives you 2 feet wide to work and 6 feet deep if you stand it on end. Typically, though, they're designed to go lengthwise. Now, I don't know the rating for the 21. Appears to be foot C60. Maybe Madam Mayor might know something about pressures that way. I got a steel, and then the other one is a aluminum.
I could give you guys a little bit more information. So another reason why I'm going for bid one versus the other two is just the weight. So we have a small excavator. So bid number one, that box total weight is like about 800 pounds because it's aluminum. It is a 6x6 box, and it's adjustable from anywhere 2 feet 2 feet wide to up to 55 inches wide. So that's more than plenty, and it's also a mod box. So if we ever had to go down deeper than 6 feet, we could actually either rent or possibly, later down the future, is buy an additional top piece that could go. So if we had to go 10 feet in the ground, we're covered. We could buy another extension for this box. The other two boxes, which is bid number 2 and 3, they're not a mod box, so we wouldn't be able to add another extension piece to either one of those boxes because they're not built for that. So
Yes.
Jose, it sounds like a great job, and I would just encourage you, as you're working on your 2023, 2024 budget, you might consider you need something else that you think. We've got a lot of water and sewer projects coming up. So if there's something else that you think that you need, that could be a good addition besides this, especially for your team safety, I'd encourage you to toss it in the budget. Maybe that's already on your list. Good job, though. Madam Mayor, I don't know if there's any other discussion. If there's not, though, I make a motion to approve the purchase of the trench box based on quote number 1 for $77,236.36, including tax.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Sandra, do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
Okay.
Okay, motion carries. All right. Then Jose, are you talking about the door estimate as well for the restrooms?
yes, I can. So originally Marco was gonna present, but he's on vacation, so I can. So he did get the 3 quotes. The one we're choosing and going for is bid number 1. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, we're gonna get 2 new doors at the city park bathrooms, and that's gonna include removing the old doors and installation of the new doors. And we're also gonna be adding automatic locking system to both doors. So unfortunately, we've been having a lot of vandalism on both the men's and women's bathroom there. So that's something that the city of Prosser does. They have the automatic locking system. So all 3 quotes were for 2 new doors, removal of the old ones, installation of the new ones, and automatic locking system. Bid number 1 came in at $3,900, and then I think there was one here. Bid number 2 came in at 21,000 and some change, and bid number 3, it's at $4,300. So yeah, that's I don't know if you guys have any other questions for me.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor to address?
Okay.
Jose, I got a question just for the layman. So you say automatic locking, does that mean they lock them in?
No, so it'll be set up so certain time of the day, let's just say call it the end of the day, 9 p.m. every night. If there was happen to be somebody in the restroom, it wouldn't lock until after they walked out. you know, it won't lock them in. That's kind of what initiated everything. So we had a gal that got stuck inside the women's bathroom, and the fire department, between the fire department and city crew, we had to literally bust in the door just to get her out. So, I mean, those doors been here way past my time. So, they're long overdue to get replaced.
Now I'll ask the second glaring question. Why the disparity in the first two bids anyway, dollar wise? Why is the one so much more expensive?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, like I said, Marco, our parks and facility lead, is the one that took the lead on these bids. I mean, if looking at the quote just right now, everything looks, you know, exactly.
Madam Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, you may.
I guess I have one question. Looking into some of these contractors, I found that Finer Side Construction, when I'm looking up on LNI, it said suspended does not meet LNI licensing requirements. So my question would be, do we follow up and make sure that they're licensed and bonded and make sure that they have a license to do work within the city?
Yeah, everybody that comes in here would have to get a permit. They would have to be licensed, bonded, insurance, and, you know, be good through the city before they did any type of work here.
So I think what Ms. Wadsworth's telling you right now is that this first vendor is not.
On his LNI sheet here, it says suspended date was 9/27 of 22. So I was just curious if we could follow up with LNI and make sure that he is up to date on his licensing before we proceed with the award.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird because he actually quoted us on the 28th, the very next day. His license expired.
I think JB has some knowledge here, maybe.
Yeah, I do business license, and so I can check on it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good catch.
It's her job.
Okay, so,
So I'm gonna go with a motion, and it's gonna be a motion to approve Finer Side Construction LLC, pending that they are current with LNI. If they are not, do not sign their contract with them.
Second,
all in
Sandra,
favor?
do I?
Wadsworth, aye.
Reed, aye.
okay.
Okay, motion carries. I guess we will
Skip that one.
skip this one. And okay, so then I think we will be ending this council meeting here, and then we'll move into the executive session. And I don't know if we will have any actions following.
I'm not anticipating any action after these executive sessions. I don't plan any action. So I just wanted to make clear, so with regard to the first executive session, item 1, that's specifically relating to the executive session under 42 30.110 triple I, which is the it's the, hold on, let me pull it up real quick. I don't want to misquote it. The potential legal risks associated with a course of action the city may take. And I believe that the same executive session would apply to the personnel issue. It wasn't indicated. It says 4230 personnel, but if it is what I think it is, that would also implicate under 4230.110I triple I litigation or legal risks of a proposed action or current practice. So I just wanted to make that note.
So I don't know what this third one is about.
That's
That
Alan's.
was one that our city engineer had requested be added.
So you said 10 minutes, Alan?
Yes.
And what about the other two?
Say 20.
So a total of 30 minutes with a 5-minute break. So we'll return at 9:15, Madam Mayor, if that was right.
That sounds about right. Okay, so we will then close this meeting and we'll ask everyone that's here to please wait in your cars if you wish to, or since there's no action following, there's no need to come back.
Unless you wish to.
Unless you wish.
Okay,
The fire hazard. Do I need to help you
It
there,
is.
Carmen?
Need a new door for here. Tell the landlord, is the landlord responsible for the doors?
You can be full ends.
Jamie, go help you old guy.
It's not coming off a lock, though. All right, here, okay. I keep the sharp objects with you. I've bandaged you before.
Not crazy, but.
Guess we're not getting out tonight.
Oh, we're getting out.
There you go.
We're back.
call
Go to the hand room. No, nobody's here. Start meeting. Something like that. You know, firemen, they want to break it all.
them. Okay, we're reconvening the Benton City Council meeting at 9 something, 9:36. Okay, and we have no action, so I would welcome a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
meeting is adjourned. Thank you.